Alright guys, a lot has gone down since we last did one of these videos. We're back to dive into some more transfer rumours today. As always, want to get your input on these in the comments down below, and 250 likes would be massively appreciated. But without any further ado, let's just jump in. We saw Andre Dazelle completing a loan move over to Birmingham for the remainder of the season. You'd imagine from QPR's perspective that would be to shift him off the wage bill for the time being. Did get a cameo appearance over the weekend for Blues against Stoke as well off the bench. Huddersfield completed the deal for Watford's Reece Healey. Now, we did speak about this one in a little bit more detail on last time's video, so if you want to hear my thoughts on this deal, make sure to go ahead and check that one out. But this deal has since been confirmed and will definitely give Huddersfield a little bit more firepower, and I'm looking forward to seeing Healey in a side where he will get those consistent starts, which he didn't quite manage to get at Watford. We saw Ipswich sending out Freddie Ladapo on loan for the remainder of the season. He's joined up with Charlton in League One. Big deal for Watford, which could spur them on to a place in the top six, is them landing a loan deal for Emmanuel Dennis. Now, Dennis undoubtedly played the best football of his career while he was a Watford player, and since leaving, things haven't quite materialised as he would have hoped. He obviously made the move over to Nottingham Forest, couldn't quite nail down a consistent starting spot there. He spent the first portion of this season out on loan in Turkey, but now has made his return to Watford on loan for the remainder of the season. Last time out for Watford in the Premier League, managed to score 10 goals and get 6 assists, and was probably the best part of that Watford side that was relegated that season. And I'd be lying if I said I wasn't excited to see him in the Championship especially, and he could give that extra bit of spice to that forward line to crank them up a gear or two. Millwall completed the loan deal for Burnley forward Michael Obafemi. I'm very interested to see how this deal works out. Now, Obafemi did miss a lot of football last season through injury. The move to Burnley hasn't quite materialised as he would have hoped just yet, but we definitely saw flashes of brilliance from him during his stint with Swansea. I know that his time at Swansea didn't end on the best of notes, but he's clearly got the tools to be a very good striker at this level when his head is fully screwed on and he's not having those nagging injuries. It's just a question of whether or not Millwall can get that out of him. We also saw Bristol City landing a deal for Aldershot midfielder Josh Stokes. Very interested to see how he gets on at Ashton Gate, a 19-year-old midfielder who's had a smashing season so far in the National League, scoring 13 goals from midfield. He'll continue his development at Ashton Gate and could be a gem for the future. But those are some of the recent done deals which have gone through in the Championship over these past few days. Now, without any further ado, let's jump into the rumours. We spoke about Aston Villa's interest in Morgan Rogers last time, have had a little bit of an update on this saga since then. Villa have already had 2 bids pushed back by Middlesbrough, and as of recording, seems as if they could be preparing a 3rd bid. Now, it's been reported that Borough paid a fee of around about £1 million to land Rogers in the summer. He's on a deal with them until 2027, and it's been speculated that Borough could want a fee of around £10 million if they were to cash in on him in the January window. Now, that would be a huge profit that they'd make on a player after just a few months at the club, but it remains to be seen if Aston Villa would be prepared to go that high for him. Sunderland are thought to be in advanced talks with Barnsley for a deal for Callum Styles. Now, you can see why a player like Styles would appeal to Sunderland. Very versatile, can play in a lot of different positions, whether that's as a left back, left wing back, or into midfield as well. Generally fits the sort of profile that Sunderland tend to go after as well. Styles still just 23 years old and has bags of potential about him. Thought he did fairly well last season during his loan spell with Millwall up until he got that injury. There's always been a thought that Barnsley would cash in on him eventually, and if that interest is there from Sunderland, I could see this deal happening. Also, bit of interest from Hull that was mentioned a few days ago as well. Speaking of Hull City, they are not messing around in this transfer window, as it's been widely reported that they are on the verge of a deal for Luton's Ryan Giles. Currently being reported that this will be a loan deal with the option to buy at the end of the season. Now, for Giles, it's a shame the move to Luton just hasn't quite worked out. He's had Alfie Doherty firmly ahead of him in the pecking order and hasn't had that much of a look in to Rob Edwards' side so far this season, just 5 starts in the Premier League for a player that Luton did spend a considerable amount of money on. But returning to the Championship and to a very exciting project which Hull City is at the moment, there's a lot of upside there for Giles to really have a significant impact in that squad for the second half of the season. Got 11 assists for Middlesbrough while out on loan there last season, was one of the best creative forces in the Championship. It'll be interesting to see what the plan is for Rossini in terms of where he's actually planning to use Giles, whether that is as a fullback or further forward on one of the wings. I think he's actually probably better utilised as far up the pitch as possible. We saw in his Cardiff loan spell, I remember, always used really high up that pitch as a left winger at times. That'll be a seriously good bit of business there from Hull. The news that no Preston fan wanted to hear, but to be honest, I think we all expected given Liam Miller's recent form. It's now being reported that Sunderland could be in the race to sign Miller at the end of the season. Now, the Canadian winger is currently on loan with Preston from Basel. He's done exceptionally well, especially over these last couple of months. He's got 3 goals and 5 assists. He's been a very entertaining player to watch. He's created a bundle of chances so far this season, and his highlight reel is absolutely fantastic. In those 1v1 situations, cutting inside from the right, he's absolutely fantastic. Now, with Jack Clarke facing an uncertain long-term future at Sunderland, it's being banded about that Miller could be a potential replacement for Clarke if he was to be sold in the summer window. Now, for North End fans, we've been here before in terms of falling in love with loan players and then not having the resources to get them on a permanent basis. Obviously, the same happened with Cameron Archer and then Tom Cannon the following year, and it feels like history is going to repeat itself here with Liam Miller. If he continues to perform at the level he has been of late for the remainder of the season, I wouldn't be surprised if even more Championship clubs were in the race to sign him come the end of the season. Bit of an update on Wilfred Gnonto at Leeds United as well. Last time we reported on the interest from West Ham. We've seen plenty of other Premier League clubs also showing an interest as well. Well, since that point, it's now being reported that Gnonto is on the verge of signing a fresh contract with Leeds, which will keep him at the club for an extra year. His current contract is already until 2027, and this would add a year or so on top of that as well. Now, it will be interesting to see, even if the details are revealed, if this contract is signed, if there is sort of a buyout clause which is placed upon that contract. We'll have to wait and see. But regardless, if Gnonto does put pen to paper, that can surely only be good news for Leeds. There's quite a bit to be said about Callum O'Hare at this point as well. Now, the last thing that Coventry want right now is anything to rock the boat. They're on an absolute roll in the Championship. I think a lot of people would have them predicted in their top 6 come the end of the season, given the form book recently, but the future of Callum O'Hare is still up in the air. His contract with Coventry does expire at the end of the season. He's yet to put pen to paper, despite reportedly having an offer in front of him. We already know that Burnley hold an interest in him that dates back to the summer at least, and now the likes of Southampton and Leicester are also monitoring him, as well as some European sides as well. Now, O'Hare really has made a fantastic impact since coming back from that injury. He's one of the most dynamic and exciting players in the Championship, and realistically speaking, he does hold a lot of the cards in this situation. With his contract set to run out, he knows he's going to have a lot of offers on the table if he is going to leave Coventry on a free transfer in the summer. I'm sure that one will continue to develop over these next few weeks and possibly months. We've seen a bit of interest from Luton Town in Coventry's Ben Sheaf. Now, Ben Sheaf has been going about this season absolutely brilliantly. He's arguably been one of the best holding midfielders in the league up until this point. Had a cracking performance last time out against Sheffield Wednesday, scoring 2 goals past them, but the work he does off the ball for this Coventry side is almost irreplaceable. He wins an average of 4 tackles per game for Cov, which is absolutely huge when compared to other midfielders in the Championship. Now, worth remembering for this that Sheaf is tied down with Coventry with a deal until 2026. So unlike the Callum O'Hare situation where the club could be left in a tricky situation, that won't be the case with Ben Sheaf. It looks as if Connor O'Riordan is on his way to Blackburn Rovers from Crewe. We did discuss that rumour a week or so ago, and it seems like that deal will now be going through. And sticking with Blackburn, we've also had some big developments in terms of Adam Wharton. Now, I think Rovers were expecting some Premier League interest in the youngster this this January, and that has materialised over these last few days, with Crystal Palace having had an £18.5 million offer rejected by Blackburn. Now, it's worth remembering, obviously, the vast potential of someone like Wharton and also the long-term deal that he's currently under at Blackburn Rovers, so the club very much holds the card in this regard. It's not going to be another Ben Brereton Diaz situation or anything like that where he leaves in the summer for less of a fee or even on a free transfer. Currently being reported that Rovers would be demanding a higher price tag than that, and they'd also be keen, if they were to sell him in January, to have him loaned back to the club for the remainder of the season. So sure, there's going to be a few more developments on that story over these next few days, and with Palace sniffing around right now, wouldn't be surprised if a few other Premier League clubs were to come in with an offer. Speaking of Blackburn, they are also among the clubs who are interested in a loan deal for Liverpool's Nat Phillips. Did spend the first half of the campaign on loan with Celtic, but didn't get much of a look in there. Now, it's no secret that Blackburn have to be after defensive options in January to go ahead and boost up their defensive abilities. It has been a major flaw in that John Doyle Thomason side so far this season, the number of goals they've been conceding and the injuries that have been piling up in that area as well. Along with Blackburn, the likes of Cardiff and Leeds have also been mentioned as interested for Nat Phillips. And another Liverpool player who looks set to go out on loan for the second half of the season is Calvin Ramsey. Now, Ramsey did spend the first half of the campaign on loan with my side, Preston North End. He really had a forgettable time at Deepdale. He joined the club while he was still in rehabilitation from his injury, so missed those early and key moments of pre-season early on, and then just never managed to find his way into the squad. It was Brad Potts who has nailed down that right wing-back role for us, and at times, despite Ramsey being fit, he couldn't even make the matchday squad for us. Despite that, Leeds United are one of the clubs who I have seen as interested in Ramsey, and it would be fascinating to see how he gets on in the Championship in this second half of the season if he is given a run of games, because at Preston he was just never afforded that chance for whatever reason. Another defender who could be an option for Leeds in January is Ben Godfrey. He's not had much of a look in at Everton so far this season and seems as if a loan move could be sanctioned for January. Only played 91 minutes of Premier League football up until this point. I do think for the Championship especially, he would make for a cracking signing if any side was to get that deal over the line. We'll wait and see over these next few days if there's any more developments on that story. But guys, there you have it. That will now wrap it up for today's video. Thank you very much for tuning in. As always, do let me know about any other rumours that you've seen in the comments down below. Plenty going on in the Championship right now, but your best place to stay informed is here on the channel. Apart from that though guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.